evening to a new episode of Otaku Nightly Hour. If you've noticed, I've upgraded my mic a little bit. Raptor's been enjoying me messing with the mic for quite a bit for
That's a weird way to put it.
a couple of weeks now, because I would annoy
I would
him.
say I'm enjoying you.
I I would annoy him greatly when I would get close to the mic. Section A. Hi, how's it
Ah,
going?
yes, your gremlin voice.
All right. So today's episode, we're getting back onto the train that we originally started on, which was the Dere types. And Raptor, you wanna introduce what Dere we're talking about today?
So today we're gonna be talking about the most controversial Dere type yet, I would like to say,
I think
and that is
controversial is the wrong word. I think it's the
point of
misinterpret.
contention.
I think it's the misinterpret type.
No, I really don't. Wait, hold on a second. I have something completely different pulled up from what you may have.
What do you
So
mean?
I'm gonna let you go ahead and talk about today's topic.
Okay. So we wanted to talk about the Dandere type,
Ah, there
and
you go.
it
I was gonna
is
say. Okay, so
okay. The reason why I say it's misinterpreted is not because of the definition of the type. I think it's identifying the type on the character that gets misinterpreted a bit because it depends on the character.
yeah, no, that's not what I was gonna go with at all. I was still convinced we were going off of the last recording session, which was going over the tsundere. So I was ready to talk about that, and
No,
you're
we
like,
hadn't talked
wait a
about the
minute.
Cinderella.
That's why. No, we mentioned it briefly in passing, like why, like this and that, and okay, we gotta talk about that next time. And then next time rolls around, you're like, all right, so we're talking about done it. I was like, oh, hold on a
No,
second,
because
there's
we
so
said
many conflicting
okay.
here.
So the reason why I wanted to pick us the Dandere instead of Sundere was mostly because one of
Oh no, she's dying. So we're gonna be talking about the Dandere, okay? So what is a Dandere exactly? So
so
pulling
okay.
up some basic information here.
Let's look up like what is the basic definition of a Dandere according to the Dere types wiki. The
I was gonna go over to a different type of source, but okay.
I'm just pulling that up mostly just because we've been pulling several of the definitions from the Dere wiki types, but it's just okay. So a Dandere is a shy, quiet, timid, and asocial character. They're afraid
Or
to
socially
talk.
awkward.
Yeah, they're afraid of talk. They fear that what they say might get them in trouble. Basically, mostly socially awkward and stuff like that, and everything. Now, the reason why I say misinterpreted is because there's another type that's also quiet and not really sociable.
Mysterious.
Is the kudere, and I want to clearly state in the definition is that they're shy and timid. That is the main part of it. And however, there are some characters who are a bit of a, I guess, like pile between the Dandere and Kudere type. And I think one of the first ones that comes to my mind that switches between the two is Komi-san.
Definitely, 100%.
So, like we said on our Kudere episode, Komi-san gives off this cool persona where everyone thinks, oh, she's so graceful, she's so magnificent,
Cool. Amazing.
the elegance of beauty and everything. But we all know that she is a nervous wreck under all that.
Somehow they just they constantly have
Misinterpreted.
rose tinted glasses 24/7, and they're like, she is the best. She is like a goddess. She is above everyone, and Komi's over here like 3 seconds away from having a panic attack.
The moment about like what is it? It took her a horror deal just to order a coffee,
To be fair, ordering coffee is pretty scary.
especially at Starbucks.
Those
You see the
those
person in front of
baristas
you.
are on another level.
No. I think it's the customers as well. Have you seen people with like their long orders that they have of customized orders? It's
No,
like
I've only seen sleep deprived college students in my local university just ordering like the cheapest thing they can get before they just gonna wait in line to receive it.
it's just like three pumps of this, two shots of this, extra whip, extra foam, all that stuff, and I'm just like, can I just have a small like hot chocolate?
So
Nothing
actually,
extra.
side tangent, I went to like a Starbucks and I was like, "Can I get a hot chocolate kids temp?" And they're like, "Sure thing." And they go through the whole order process. I receive my chocolate at the end of it. I take a sip. I was like, "This has caffeine in it." Hot chocolate does normally not have caffeine in it.
It should not. That's why I get the white hot chocolate. Cause
I was so sad.
okay, so the reason why you probably felt like it had caffeine in it
No, I
is mostly because of the fact that they do not dissolve their powders all that great. And the
no.
mixer on the thing probably has residue caffeine.
I was gonna say I went ahead and I took it to my brother like later in the day, and I was like, "Taste this for me." He's like, "Why does this have caffeine in it?" And I was like, "I knew it." They either do not like take care of their equipment properly, or they just gonna chuck everything in and just hope they get the right blend.
Okay, anyway, going back to the Deres instead of Starbucks. So the whole uh
Definition or
definition
meaning
really just boils down to are they shy and um
introverted.
yeah, very introverted uh and socially inept.
So the thing about that, I will say is like a big defining thing between them and the kudere is that a kudere is mostly emotionless, and the dandere is shy. They're quiet, but they're very like they have tons of emotion going through the faces. They get flustered easy.
There's either when they are or they're not showing it and stuff like that.
Right.
Cuz
Uh,
cuz the key detail is that it's context. Because sometimes in some anime we get context, like in Komi. We know what's going on under that because we don't have the rose tinted glasses like everyone else does, or we see everything from I forgot his name.
Beautiful.
we see
I love how
everything
you blank out.
we see everything from the male protagonist's point of view as well, who understands Komi, ironically enough. Uh
You forgot the average guy's average sounding name. I'm pretty sure it was like Tadano Tadashi, which means like
Tadano,
everyday man
yeah,
or like normal
Tadano.
man.
Yeah, Tadano. So like we see it from his point of view, and obviously because we're an audience, we get a higher perspective to see what's actually going on. And so versus like in I'm using a previous example as well from the Kudera episode, which is Yuki
Yep.
Nagato from the Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya. Everything's from
Yes.
the point of Kyon or Haruhi because they're the main characters. We're never going inside the mind of what's going on with Yuki versus in her spin-off series.
I was say unless we look at the spin-off series, in which case
We are going from her point of view, but also to be fair, she's from another dimension where the personality is completely different.
I was gonna say, yeah, I mean to be like the better question is Haruhi even there or not to
She
like
is.
mess with everything.
She is, but she's just an annoyance.
Hmm.
Anyway, going on to the actual list of
Oh, I
Danderes.
thought we were gonna go over like the where the word even comes from because we've gone over like a huge multitude of danderes so far
Oh, you want to look
and
up? You want to actually look at
see
the
where the word
spelling?
derives from.
Okay, so um, the word dandere, the dan character, is from the Japanese word danmari, which means silence. And Dere, we all know Dere is to be in love with, but it's also from the term Dere Dere, which means lovey dovey.
Yep. Love struck, lovey dovey, sweet.
Mm-hmm. So that's why Dan Dere is the silent lovey dovey. Now, the difference between that and the kudere, which I'm gonna pull up right now because we actually didn't look up the kanji and katakana between it. Kudere has the ku, K U U sound for those who are not going to be able to read it, comes from the word kuru, which is katakana, katakana of the word cool.
Yep.
So that's the key difference, because you would think kurere, oh, they're the silent type. No. They're the cool type.
A cool beauty in some cases.
Mm-hmm.
The silent type, they really leave a good impact, even if they don't mean to leave an impact at all. They're just like quiet, just staring at you. They're like, wow, this person gives off such like a huge aura like off of them. Like,
Yeah. So that's why these characters, they're gonna leave a little bit on the. I feel in my opinion, it's a little bit of a 50-50 on the Dandere side, because it just really depends on how far do you want to push the envelope of silence, because again, some of these characters we have a lot more context for, because either they're the main characters or we know a lot more details even if they aren't really the main cast, if that makes
right.
sense. So let's actually go down the list. So Sawako from Kimi ni Todoke is one of our first contestants, and the reason why I chose Dandere is actually because of Sawako. Sawako is
You
from.
started this whole like separate topic just because of one character.
Well, okay. So the reason why is that Kimi ni Todoke is a very favorite anime of mine.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very sweet anime that revolves around this girl who just literally wants to live a normal life, even though everyone thinks that she's cursed and such because of her doll-like appearance. But misinterpret.
Interesting.
Okay, so you've seen those like little Japanese wooden dolls with the long black straight hair.
I've seen the porcelain ones, yes.
I'm talking about the little wooden ones that they would have in the Japanese New Year's holidays and such. She
Oh.
resembled those so much that her family wanted her to continue looking like the doll because it was cute and everything. But as
Mm.
time went on, by the time she got to middle school and high school, her hair was so long, people started thinking she was more like the Grudge from you
I
know
can see
them.
that.
Yeah. So that's why she was kind of outcasted and stuff, and also she's kind of not really social all that much. She's a little bit struggling on that department. She did not roll
I
high
pulled up
on the
one image of her.
charisma.
I can definitely see what you mean by she looks like something straight out of The Grudge.
She did not roll high on the charisma stat. A lot of these characters did not roll high on the charisma stat on if we're going to pull D&D terms, okay?
Obviously, these people need to learn how to roll nat 20s.
And Sawako, the reason why I picked it was mostly because Kimi ni Todoke finally has a live action series coming out, and it's actually one of the more anticipated live action series from anime to live action,
Really?
because what is it? There's not really too much to mess with per se,
Mm-hmm.
versus like live action anime like
One
Dragon
Piece.
Ball, One Piece, Attack on Titan, Full Metal,
Uh,
because
yeah.
of the fact that there's no special effects having to be involved or something like that. It is literally just a day-to-day life, slice of life romance anime. So
Isn't it
there's
just more of
no,
a K-drama then?
yeah, so there's nothing much to mess with, in
It's
my
like a
opinion.
K-drama, but in Japan.
It's called a J drama.
There you go.
And there's not much to mess with, and I'm grateful that this is one of the more anticipated ones because it works well in its favor. Everything's in its it has all the cards laid out for it. But anyway, so Sawako, like I described, she's not really good at the socializing part, but she finally gets a chance because of the fact that not only does she start to become friends with two other girls in her class, which are, by the way, the class delinquents. I'm seeing a pattern of
That
the
is a
material that I
great
like.
way to start.
But she also becomes friends with the most popular guy in the school. And he's not popular because he looks sexy or something. He's literally just very sociable and stuff like that. He's the popular because he's nice to everyone. He plays basketball. Like, sure, he is hot in the context of the show. I don't really see it.
I feel like
Uh,
you put that in air quotes for some reason.
I don't see the appeal. He's not my type.
What do you mean? He's got everything like a woman looks for in a guy. A face, eyes, a nose, ears? What more could you ask for?
But like so she starts becoming friends with basically like m- more than she could ever ask. The thing is, she doesn't realize that the guy has a crush on her.
To be fair, I am looking at a few more images of
Of this
Sawako,
anime.
and the more I look at it, the more I like stare at some of these like images, and I think to myself, "Your is that you?"
No, no, no. Okay, so this is why I say most of these entries are kind of like a 50-50 situation. Because Sawako, she's shy and everything and such like that. But once the anime goes on and she gets more and more comfortable with these characters, these friends and such like that.
Look at this person and tell me, like, I DM'd it to you. Look at that face and tell me that's not your. That is your one for one.
You're in
Change
high
that
school.
hairstyle.
You're in high school.
I'm not in high school. You're in high school.
But anyway, so my the reason why I say it's a little bit on the 50-50 side is because the um as the anime goes on, she gets more leaning towards the Dere types with the airheadedness because she's
Mm,
talking more, she's able to like try her best and be friendly with people and everything. In fact, in a later episode, she is selected to become like the ghost for their summer test
there's
of
summer.
courage little thing,
Oh, I
because
thought I
again she looks
okay.
like the grudge, she looks like the grudge, she looks like a ghost and everything.
I thought you were gonna be talking about like I haven't seen it, so I'd assume you would have been talking about like the school festival where they come up with like a theme for their class and would have gone for like a haunted house and
No, 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 no,
boom,
no. So
you
they
play as a ghost.
so, no, yeah, they went on like this school field trip and they had this test of courage thing. So they chose
Okay,
her to play the ghost while everyone goes through like the path and everything.
that's kind of
But
mean, don't you think?
well, she was happy about it because she was like, "Wow, I could actually contribute and stuff," because she's been outcasted for her entire life and everything.
Okay then.
So I could see the effort. She was like, "I'm participating and stuff."
I'm actually needed for
Yeah,
once.
but I think there's still a little bit of the Dandere hint on it because, like I said, she misinterprets a lot of things. Instead of socially getting that, hey, they're insulting me because they're saying I look like a dead person, she's taking it as a compliment and saying, like, wow, I could actually contribute to something. And I'm like, girl, you really shouldn't be taking this as a compliment.
That's I mean,
This is the opposite of a
it's
compliment.
it's nice that she's so optimistic, but the point you talk about her becoming more of a Dere type, as she becomes more emotional, like less withdrawn. I was gonna say there, like, I do have like a definition pulled up here, and
Hmm.
it says that the term Dandere is another character archetype commonly found in anime and manga. Blah blah blah. Initially shy, introverted, socially awkward, but gradually opens up and becomes more expressive over time. So that
Okay.
is definitely in line with this term that's being like laid out here and what you're describing.
Okay. But the thing is that I think it's mostly because people identify that because every storytelling requires character growth. So
For sure.
the easiest formula of a shy person is to become from a shy with no friends kind of character to a person who is more sociable with more friends than she started with. So that's just the easiest like combination of storytelling from point A to point B of story growth.
Yeah, to have a character with depth and growth, I feel like it's fairly linear.
Mhm. All right. Um, but let's get on to the next one. I feel like, do you know more about this character than I do? I honestly like I know some of
So,
it. I know
so,
some.
so, so, so let me break it down to you. There I was reading the whole series of Naruto from beginning till the ending. And when my brother started picking it up and started asking me questions to recall what I remember from the series, I was like, that happened? Wait, that was a plot point? I didn't know that. I completely forgot. I like it like all those chapters, that whole series went in one ear, out the other.
But do you
I knew
remember the
nothing.
scenes with Hinata?
I remember her being shy, flustered, and cute. Then somewhere along the way in Borrow Two Generations, I mean, like, they got married, so I feel like she had a good amount of character growth.
Okay, so from what I understand, this is just from the understanding that I have from passing. of
Which
the
is not a
character
lot.
telling me is that Hinata actually has a lot more strength than we initially think she is. And
She
such.
has
I
the
mean, to be fair,
stomach of she has a stomach of the bottomless pit when it comes to eating ramen. That is one fact I learned about her like recently in Boruto.
yeah, like it's like, oh, who's the champion of eating ramen and stuff like that. Naruto just points and it's like, Mom.
Look at the picture hung up on the wall, and she's like there, like winning the contest and everything, which is
I didn't think they
dumbfounding
okay.
considering Naruto loves eating ramen.
I didn't think it was gonna be canon because that was a joke on a short. Okay, so Japan, they like to put little end segments during the credits and such that they're like shorts and everything. And the Naruto shorts treated all the cast members like cast members. Like the whole series was just like them acting out their actors and such, but like within their own universe, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
And they had a segment where they had all the characters do a ramen eating contest, and they just kind of put Hinata there because there weren't that many female characters on the roster on there,
Fair enough.
and they thought, and you would think, okay, it's gonna be either Naruto or Shonen. Shonen is the character that eats a lot.
Koji?
Yeah, to-
I think I don't know. Okay, keep rolling. The
but
guy who likes to eat a lot.
they thought either one was gonna win, and then at the end, it's like, no, Hinata ate 37 bowls.
And she didn't even break a sweat.
Yeah.
It's just well, like, which is the scariest part. We haven't seen the depths of her limit yet.
But
Okay, but
okay.
enough about that. Back to the lovey-dovey part, not the emotionless excursion of eating food.
But the thing is, I don't think Hinata's all that asocial, if that makes sense. Like she's sociable when she needs to. She's just
She's
specifically
very
shy at Naruto.
yes. So then I feel like that might be like a thing we should like ask. Like, well, does a Dandere need to be like a Dandere like in like
24/7, or just in the
24/7 or only
context of
towards
the
a specific individual?
I think it's a little bit of a tiny stretch, but I think it kind of it requires a little bit more than just the love interest, because if you're asking me if they're shy around their love interests, I think that overlaps with many of the other love interests as well. For example, if we go at Ochako, who is a Dere and such like that, she's shy around Deku, but she's very sociable about around everyone else. The only time she ever gets shy and flustered is when Deku's in the equation.
Or when they like point to him
Mention.
specifically towards
Yeah, that's what.
Ochako, like, hey, why don't you go hang out with Deku for a bit,
Yeah,
huh?
that's
And then
why.
she's like, whoa, whoa,
Like,
hold on a
yeah,
second.
like when Naval Laser makes him passing at her, it's like, you have a crush on Deku, don't you? And she's like, ah.
Like, I do not. I deny that 100%.
And almost got sucked into a black hole.
That that's just kind of like a side tangent. No one really like we can overlook that point.
Yeah, but like, if we're going by the secondary definition, that we want to put for the Dandere, I think Ochako would also fit in that situation if we went based on that.
Yeah. So then I've actually tried looking it up, and a response is a character can be considered a dandere if they are generally shy, introverted, and socially awkward, regardless of whether they are shy towards a specific character or shy in general.
Yeah, but for our definition's sake, if we want to point it down a little bit easier, I want to say that it has to be around the love interest and maybe one or two other friends who know about it, if that makes sense.
Right.
Like,
But
that's why like Hinata is a little bit better at this because she's shy around Naruto and everything, but she's also generally shy around everyone else she interacts with because one, she is a little bit less social in the early days of Naruto. Not before Naruto Shippuden when they were teenagers and stuff like that. But she was also generally shy around the other students that of the other teams and such like that because she's a sheltered child.
For good reason, I think. I mean,
Her
like the clan
parents
she
are
comes from
loaded.
is
Her parents are loaded in context.
yeah, but I mean, like from like I think that it has a lot to do with like her lineage because I mean, like the power she has, it would make sense for her family to not only be loaded, but to also like maybe restrict who she can hang out with.
So she's basically like a shy female version of Todoroki's situation.
Yes, with a whole lot less trauma. Trauma not included. That's like that's always a
That's
plus.
Hinata.
Baggage
I'm
not
just
included.
realizing how much overlap there is between My Hero and Naruto.
Well, I mean, there is a reason why my hero's being considered like one of one of the new big three, like
Who's the other
previously
two?
from
Who's the other two that's replacing like One Piece and
Demon
Dragon Ball?
Slayer is one for sure.
Okay.
The third one, I have no idea. It could also still be Dragon Ball Super. You never know. It depends with the the
Some
audience
people
of what they
say
gotta
it's Black
say.
Clover. I disagree.
It is, but I feel like it really like started to fall really hard. And I don't know if that's just because the fans just don't like it, if the taste just isn't there, or if, it's just something on the writer's
I
part.
have
But
many
like,
reasons why I don't like Black Clover and such like that. I'll talk about animes that I dislike that are popular on another episode, but there are things that I don't like about Black Clover, um, and in which that a lot of people are trying to compare it to Naruto in a sense.
okay, that sounds really interesting.
Hmm.
But for now,
But yes, but going back to Hinata and such like that, I think she's a better exception towards the Dandere leniency because she's generally shy around other people as well. Of course, as she gets
initially,
older, as she gets older and stuff like that, not only is it because it's her job,
to
as a
be
ninja.
shy?
No, it's her job as a ninja.
Oh,
Her and everything, you would gradually grow a little bit more sociable, um, for like job
gaining
reasons
connections.
and such like that. It's like when parents have like concerns about their kids being shy and such like that. And it's like, oh, I don't know if they're gonna make friends and stuff. Don't worry, they'll grow into it.
They'll grow into it
They'll
eventually.
grow into it. It's kind of a
If they're not
necessary skill.
traumatized, they'll grow into it.
It's a necessary skill to kind of like turn on and off. That they need to be sociable when they're like when they grow up to an adulthood when they need to go to work. Because trust me, you're I speak for myself. I was quote unquote a shy kid and such like that, but I could be sociable when I need to.
Interesting.
I mean, like it makes the job easier if you work in retail.
But yeah, but I was gonna say, but it doesn't do any favors for your social battery.
Uh, it depends. If you work in a job
It
that you're not,
depends.
if you work in a job that you're not really passionate about, then yeah, it will drain you quite drastically the moment you step into work. But if
I
you
feel like
work,
that's a given.
but if you work in a job that you actually are okay with talking about and such like that, you'll be fine. Like me, I work at GameStop right now. Everyone knows it. You've seen my TikToks.
I have.
my
I
tick.
was there.
Yes.
I don't remember going into your job, but okay.
And yeah, so Hinata gets a little bit more sociable and such like that, to the point that she does land with Naruto and stuff like that. Because uh would you say the point that Naruto started getting interested in Hinata was for her strength, uh like theoretic metaphorically, or strength physically?
Um, well, first of all, I think the reason why is because of the writer and then the plot demands it. But aside from that, if
No, no,
we're
no.
sticking only with like an
Outside the
in-universe
yeah, in
in
universe,
universe
because that
reason,
happened. Because the whole plot of them getting together and falling in love, at least for it to be like exchangeable in a sense, was in a movie that I don't think
I didn't
I
see that.
really watched. It wasn't
I haven't seen
shown.
any of the movies. I only just read the manga from point
The
A to
only
the end,
okay,
and
the
that's
only
it.
movie that I saw Naruto was the one with the princess and everything, who was an actress.
There was a princess?
She is a princess.
Never seen
I
it.
just remember Naruto trying to watch the movie and they snuck into the theater and using their ninjutsu to hang from the wall upside down to watch the movie without having to wait sit in the seat.
I would get so tired and confused, just having it
Watching
hang
a
upside
movie
down.
upside down.
Let alone with the blood rushing to my head.
But anyway, so
So
that enough of Naruto. Um, I wanted
you're
to
sick of
talk.
it. I see.
Um, I wanted to talk about Tsukasa from Lucky Star. Have you watched Lucky Star?
No, but I know a Sukasa from Doctor Stone.
No.
He's absolutely ripped and just ready to like fight hand to hand combat with the lion. Does that count?
No.
I think it's a close enough Sukasa.
No. So okay. So Lucky Star is a slice of life anime about high school girls. I was gonna say sailor girls. High
Well,
school girls in sailor uniforms, living their day to day life and just graduating. That's basically it. They literally
so
talk
they're already
about,
in their senior year.
well, they're in their junior year going to senior year, and then the last season is them graduating from their senior year. I kid you not, one conversation on the first episode is literally talking about how what's the right way to eat a chocolate cornet.
I mean, what is the right way to eat one? Because I've never even heard of such a thing.
Basically, it looks like a seashell kind of bread, twisted donut all the way to a tip, filled with chocolate cream in the center, with the
I
hole
feel
at
like
the
I've
bottom.
seen those at like certain Mexican bakeries.
Let me send you a picture while I'm talking. But basically, a the whole conversation between all of them was like for 5 minutes was just them talking
They're from the
about,
top and then work way to the bottom, or from like one side or the other, or from the bottom to the top.
yeah, and such like that. And I'm just sitting here like, am I actually sitting here watching this anime of them talking about whether or not eating a chocolate cornet from the bottom or the tip is valid and such like that?
That looks like an eclair.
The correct answer is to take the tipped end and dip it into the chocolate.
Well, you see, maybe that would be the right way of going about it if you weren't wrong. Because if you're gonna tear any part off and dip it in something, I feel like you should dip it in like in a separate like side container like elsewhere, like fudge or strawberry or like even milk. You could even just dip it in milk. But to tear it off one end and then go ahead and shoving it back into the other end and just getting the chocolate from there, that's unusual.
I mean, to be fair, it's supposed to look like this and everything. But anyway, well, I'm moving aside. There's a character named Tsukasa. She's one of the twins, and
There are twins.
there are twins,
There
and
are twins.
she is the quote unquote dumber one of the two.
That's kind of mean, but okay.
She is. Mostly because of the fact that she struggles with her homework and everything, and such. And she's a little bit socially shy when it comes to people outside of the friend group and everything. But to be fair, I think most high school girls are as well if approached by strangers and such like that.
She's just like me, for real, for real.
But also, I don't think this one really counts as well because there's not really a love interest to speak of because of how slice of life either is. There's no boyfriends involved.
Interesting. Oh yeah, because it's just more of your typical slice of life, no romance involved.
Mm-mm.
So would you consider her to be like a Dere type of character, or just or what? What do
Well,
you think she may or may not fit in
that's
this?
the thing that I wanted to talk about is that we've been.
Check your DMs. This became such a huge meme. Now people are just like, he just like me for real.
But anyway, so like the thing is that like we've been categorizing like a lot of characters who have love interests and stuff like that, but I've seen the use of the Dere types on characters that don't have a love interest outside of anime. So for example, that people have been categorizing anime
Taylor
characters.
Swift.
What?
Oh no, you said like outside of anime, so my first thought was like, all right, so like non-anime
No, I
characters.
said outside of the appropriate situation
Jennifer
of the
Lawrence.
animes and stuff like that, like romance
Chris Pratt.
animes and such like that. But we've seen characters who are in the category of a Dere type because they resembled the characteristics of it. So, what is your opinion about categorizing a Dere onto a character that has no love interest, even though in the name Dere means lovey-dovey?
I think we may have gone over this in the Yandere episode that we covered, and I want to like I will still stand by that statement. And if it's been a while, then I'll just remind you: if there is no love, then in my eyes, they're not really a Dere. They're just someone who has, that particular character trait. They're shy, they're
Mhm.
abrasive, they're, stalkerish. They're this, they're that. But if there's no love attached to it, they're not really a Dere.
Mm-hmm. So then Tsukasa, while having the characteristics of a Dandere or a Dere, it could be arguably either, because
She
there's
has all
no
the checks.
because there is no love interest, the Dere has to be taken out.
Yeah, so if there's no Dere, then like maybe she, in my eyes, maybe like she, like it's hard for me to justify and say that she is.
Because you've never seen the anime.
No, just because I'm just gonna say if there's no love, then like it's difficult to say. Oh yeah, no, she is for sure.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
So
so the next character is arguably a Dandere, but I don't think it's the main key detail of his character. Midoriya, from My Hero Academia, aka Deku.
yeah, boy.
Do you do you feel like this is appropriate to categorize it? Because I've seen some lists. Keep in mind, we kind of pick and choose what characters go on this list, and I add
People are going ahead
characters.
and putting him into like their best, like top 10 trap list. I'm pretty sure we can make an exception for him here in the Dandere list.
But I put characters on this list as well because I wanted to start a discussion with you of whether or not they do or do not qualify for it, so that we
Okay.
could get a little bit further in depth by showing examples that do fit and examples that may not fit, that people would assume would fit, because Deku actually happens to land on a quite a number of lists for Danderes and such. And I'm leaning towards the no side of things and such. Do you agree with me?
I'm thinking he is a Dandere.
Okay, what are your arguments of why he is and such like that?
So another thing to refer back to the definition for a Dandere
Mm-hmm.
is even so a Dandere character like can become more expressive and more affectionate, more outgoing, in general or towards their like personal like love interest.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Um, you know, they can progress in that direction, but you can still consider them a Dandere even if like, like they've grown from there. Like
Mm-hmm.
it kind of depends on their initial personality traits. And
Especially considering where Deku is in this part of the story right now that this episode is recorded on.
I have no idea where that episode is. All I know is that we are in an insane arc at the moment. But in the manga, it's even more insane. So, you know, maybe romance isn't a thing that's on his mind right now, but initially, like, his affections towards
Like season one Deku.
oh
Season one Deku was.
yeah, towards his feeling towards like Uravity, Ochako. Like, I mean, like he was very shy, very flustered, like, interacting with her. And I
Mm-hmm.
mean, yeah, she kind of feels the same towards him, shy, flustered. But you can get the summons that maybe there's a connection there. Maybe there's some love involved. And even though, like, you can say that he just quickly gets past that, like, initially past season one.
I mean,
Sure, but the
to
points,
be fair, it's one of those implied ones that like we know this is endgame.
we know there is something here. But it's gonna be a huge slap in the face to the fans if he just doesn't end up with her, but someone else instead. Because
There's a lot of
they can do that.
ships. There's a lot of different ships that people have gone through, even the gay kind.
I was gonna say, don't you dare even bring Bakugo into this or Todoroki. But yeah, I would say he like does count.
I'll talk about the insane ships on another episode too with someone else that talks I could talk about ships with.
Okay, that sounds horrifying, but go on.
Anyway, and I agree with you that the Dandere can grow from their position and such like that. However, my opinion kind of stems a little bit towards your point with Hinata. about whether or not it has to be towards a specific person or in general to everyone. My
Hmm.
I'm gonna extend that a little bit further. That it's also somewhat of a like
A Majora's Mask.
a good significant amount of time they are a dandere, if that makes sense.
Oh, so you think it's a time dependent thing?
Like I feel like we need to have enough time with the character as a dandere to justify as a dandere in
Okay.
proportion to the growth, if that makes sense. So
So
for
if they're
example,
like a dandere for like 5 minutes, and then from the rest of the series on, they're like anything but a dandere, you think they should not be?
yeah, that like for example, going back to
Okay.
Hinata, Hinata is a dandere all the way to the point of actually getting together with Naruto and stuff like that. Um, sure, she has some moments to shine to not to be like a badass and such like that,
Right.
but that still doesn't like outside of life or death situations and everything. Socially, she's shy around everyone and such like that.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's why I think if you were also a dandere or any dere for that
You're
example,
calling me a dandere?
not you.
Well, then who is you?
But
I
I,
am
I
you.
feel like I feel like any character that is gonna be classified as any dere type, that they have to be at least a little bit more of a majority at the time of that dere type versus the time they are to grow from the point that they weren't that dere type. So
All right, I feel like
majority.
there needs to be like a study conducted on this thing specifically, checking like the time dependent rate as to like when you can still consider someone a dandere as opposed
Or
to
any
when like
dere type.
or no longer.
Because okay, so for Deku in this case, he was a dandere for like I would say a good 8 episodes at the beginning, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
And such, he was like flustered around Ochako or something like that, or any of the girls for that matter that he interacts with, and
Yeah.
everything. But as the series go on, there are less interactions with the girls. There are less interactions with Ochako all flustered and stuff because he slowly started getting more comfortable around her, and Ochako as well. She started getting more comfortable around him, and also a little bit more flustered around him, and such like that. But also because of the fact the context of the story doesn't allow room for his shy side to be
What do you mean they
present.
don't allow him to be a shy guy anymore?
But also in context of the story, he's kind of strayed away from his usual personality would be. Let's just
Okay,
say
well, I feel
like
like that's
okay.
because of some unavoidable circumstances that
Yeah,
come
no.
with being the next hero.
Yeah, and such like that. And again, I don't like Deku isn't all that starry eye. I want to be the number one hero, kid anymore at this point of the story.
At this point in your story, but at that like but in the point in my story where I'm at, it's a different case. Anyways, quickly check your DMs.
But you know what I mean? Like I think it really will change the definitions of all the deades because it depends on the amount of time that we said and such like that. Because that's why again we bring up Komi-san and everything. I don't think she really qualifies too much as a kudere anymore and more of a dandere because as the story progresses and we get to more know more of the characters, we get to see them outside of the initial dere type that people perceive them as.
Okay. Yeah, that's a pretty interesting point. I don't think I've ever considered that, so
Because again, Komi off the
very
bat,
shy.
kudere, very cool and stuff. Be what's actually going on inside dandere.
She was a dandere the whole time. No one ever knew it.
Mm. And I think it works better for Sawako Hinata, better because we get more time of them being a dandere
Right.
versus any other dere type. Or they fit within the dandere type, like you said. That's how Sawako fits in because she grows to be a little bit more social as the story goes on.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So then what's up with this next character on the list? Shoko.
Shoko from A Silent Voice. So she's a little bit of an interesting case
I thought
because
I think she's a little like she's a little special. I was like, okay, cool, but who's that?
so Shoko from the renowned anime movie um A Silent Voice. I was gonna say it won an Oscar. I don't think it won an Oscar. I wanna
Well, if you
say
checked our Oscars episode, maybe you.
but I wanted to have an Oscar. I wanted to have awards, okay? It's a great movie. It's a very profound movie. But anyway, so Shoko is a deaf character. She's not a mute character. However, make
Mumble.
she does make some noises and says she attempts to speak and everything. To be fair, she was born deaf, so she doesn't know how to speak
Ah,
properly
yep.
and such like that. That's a given. But my concern is confusing her Dandere like nature with her mental illness at the time, which is depression.
Okay.
And um sorry, the story is very touchy because I don't want to I have to put a
Don't
trigger
you dare
warning.
start crying on me right here,
I
right
have
now.
no, I have to put a trigger warning right now because I'm trying to make sure that I say the words correctly without like offending anyone. Fair warning. I'm about to tell the movie of A Silent Voice that talks about suicide and depression. Okay?
I haven't seen it yet.
I'm making you
I didn't
sit
know it
down.
would be about that.
I'm gonna make you sit down and watch it then.
Very sad. A
Anyway,
very sad, stunning story.
but anyway, so um the thing is this entire time of the story is that she's been suffering from depression for being bullied. First of all, she was bullied for being deaf. But then on the second part, sort of like literally the last like eighth of the movie, she's been suffering from depression because she believes that the original friend group that had gotten torn apart was because of her. So she thinks that she literally has no uh point in living. Um and on one hand it's very sad because she's actually trying to put an effort on making friends and such, but
I think it's
she's
only sad. What do you mean on one hand?
um it's one of those weird situations that it's not her fault. She was given the cards that she had to deal with, which was being deaf and living in a society where being disabled isn't all that welcome. Because remember,
In Japan.
yeah, Japan is a society where being different is socially a crime, even if it's not entirely your fault. And accessibility is not the biggest thing they
A thing
prioritize
they
on.
care for.
They can't prioritize it too well on versus like, well, I mean, even in the U.S. Disabilities, those with disabilities have a hard time too. And right now, we're only doing the movement to allow accessibility in more areas than people would think need it. And it's surprising to me how much it affected her mentally because she is shy and such, but that's because she never had the chance in life to be social.
Right.
So now my question is she a dandere because of her like a nature versus nurture thing?
Well, first of all, you never even mention a love interest of any kind.
Oh, the love interest. The love interest is actually, ironically, the main protagonist of the movie and her bully from her childhood.
What the heck?
Okay, so the entire story is that he was the bully because he did it out of peer pressure. He thought it was everyone thought it was funny, so he went along with it, and he was like, it's like it's just a prank, bro, kind of thing.
That's so messed up.
Yeah, but to be fair, he was 8.
That's so messed up.
He was 8, and by the time he gets to high school, he has had no friends since then, and such because everyone socially outcasted him for being a bully and such, and he's been very suicidal ever since. And
Wait a second,
his
this was
last
your idea.
his last step his last step to before he was gonna off himself was to go and apologize to Shoko for the things that he did and such. And he made kind of a mistake in
You
saying,
made
"Would
an
you
oopsie.
like to be friends?" And now he has to be committed here to being her friend. And the whole movie revolves around, is he trying to be her friend because he wants to make amends and actually make an effort, or because he pities everything that had happened, that he's doing it because it's the right thing to do?
Okay.
And also
Hmm.
all their old friends come together and start having like social conflicts about like who's right, who's wrong, even though all of them were technically bullying her. And on Shoko's end of
You're
the whole,
all wrong.
and again, in Shoko's end of all of this and everything, she believes that it's all her fault that everyone's fighting and stuff, that it's her fault for living the way that she was.
That's kind of messed up.
Mm-hmm. And by the end of the movie, no one gets together. Keep in mind, that's not the whole point of this entire story and stuff. Yes, there is a little bit of love between, like, she has a crush on him.
From what you described, it's anything but love.
Yeah, but because the whole point of the movie is not to talk about the romance and stuff. It's to talk about get it grieving grieving over your depression and taking the steps to a healthier mental health and a better life and such. I believe that's what the movie is about.
Okay, well, presented with everything you just brought up,
How does Shoko
you
become a
say there's a
Dandere?
little bit of love, but I get the feeling if it's only for that small instance,
Well, no, because
maybe
the
not
thing
a
is, she has
Dandere?
a because the thing is, she has a crush on him for ever since like halfway through the movie and stuff like that. She even tries to confess to him, but because she doesn't know how to speak, he misunderstands her,
Aww.
and it's kind of cute. But like,
So depressing.
but my question is she a Dandere because she's social, like the social part, the socially shy part? Is it because that's how she is by nature, or because society hasn't allowed her to be social enough because of her disability?
First of all, I think it's pretty messed up to just isolate someone because they have a disability.
Hmm.
Um, but second of all,
I mean, she's not
I
totally
have no
isolated.
idea.
She goes to another school and stuff like that. All that squad.
Bullied. She was an outcast because of something that was beyond her control.
Yeah, we'll talk about a little bit more about Silent Voice once I get you sitting down and watching the movie.
So you want to so you want to do a review? Is that what you want to
I
do?
want to do a review about Silent Voice. I do like this movie a lot, and I think
I
you
feel like
should
we have a
too.
lot of plans coming up here, like in this one single podcast, that we may actually just need to like start ramping up video production down the line, like
And
soon.
guess what? That's what we're doing. Get ready, folks. We're getting a lot more episodes every 2 weeks for the next year, and I do hope you guys decide to join in because today is episode number 10, and we hope to get to episode 20 real soon.
Oh, that's a huge surprise. I hope that's a huge surprise to everyone because it is a huge surprise to me.
Anyway, let's get back to the list. Uh, Shoko, a question mark on the Dandere because of the context of the movie.
This is like pending.
Pending until we until I get
It
Raptor
needs a
here
deeper
watching the movie.
analysis.
Until I get Raptor to watch the movie with me.
But I'm not ready to cry. I cried so much with Hachiko.
You're gonna cry more. Okay. This one I think is a tiny bit of a maybe as well.
Listen, we were low on our diversity quota, and we still needed to like meet it by the
I
end of the
wanted to put
video.
more male
So
characters in here, okay? That was my choice. I put this
a
on
quota
myself.
needed to be met.
Uh Ken Kaneki from Tokyo Ghoul.
That is a very, very interesting thing. Okay, so I feel like we can just easily go ahead and classify this along with Midoriya
As
for
a
very similar reasons.
because of the context of the show or because of the context of him as a character?
Going off of your definition, if it's a time dependent thing, very quickly he just drops
The little
the
shy guy
he
act.
he drops his shy guy mask and he just puts on a different like ghoul mask on and he just starts going completely like doing a 180 in terms
Okay,
of
okay.
character.
I
Would
want
you
you
say
to
this is character
answer.
growth or character regression?
Okay, I wanna ask and stuff like that. Is it like a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde situation, or is he aware on both sides?
Well, you see, the issue with your with the way you're posing your question is that it's entirely dependent on the fact that I know what you're talking about with Jekyll and Hyde. I've never read the story between those two, so I have no idea what you're even
Okay,
referring
okay.
to.
Basically, does Ken try to keep his humanity versus the goal side, and do they suffer from two different situations? Like, do they basically act like two different characters talking? That if you were to classify them.
Okay, okay, for sure, for sure. So he is definitely trying to hang on close and tight and just clutches really hard to his humanity up until the point where he gets kidnapped, gets his like knees broken and tortured for like hours on end by some insane megalomaniac for some reason. After that point, maybe he wasn't so committed to keeping on, like holding on close to his humanity, but it does still stick with him on, like, well, we really just shouldn't be going around unaliving people and eating them just because. He still feels a little guilt about it, but he now understands that it's more of a necessity. But that's besides the point. The point is, he has his
Dandere was.
humanity, but it's very skewed because of the circumstances he's been put in. But when
Mm-hmm.
it comes to love and romance, I mean, initially,
In the first
um,
episode, it
for
all
sure,
goes.
100%, yes.
And then it
Then
goes all
on,
downhill
yeah, and well, downhill for the most part,
on the
up
romance
until
section.
like
On the romance section.
up until he finds like up until he falls down the rabbit hole with that one rabbit chick, and things go and then things start proceeding upwards from there. But at that point, he's not shy about anything. It's just, in fact, I can't even remember what the romance was. I felt like it's just kind of like of a sudden just click after just knowing each other for so long. They suddenly like just got together. And then almost quickly, like almost immediately married, because in my mind it was such a huge blur. I have no idea what the progression was.
Okay, fair
But
enough.
I want to say, a lot like Deku, um, the time that he was a Dandere is his like initial thing when it comes to romance. That you can classify him as such, but based off of your definition as like time is a very dependent thing. How long has he been a Dandere? Um, very short, a very short amount of time.
Would you say
So,
like 5 minutes?
well, I'd say like a day in his life,
Five
and
minutes
then
in
that
the
all just kind of
anime.
went downhill. Well, 2 days. One day with Rize, and then that whole incident happening, and then the next day with what what's the blue haired chick's name? The
I don't know.
rabbit ghoul, and just kind of being flustered around her. And I mean, he kind of eventually gets over it when he gets a job of working alongside her.
Mm,
So 2 days out of like the who knows how many months to years he was a ghoul, and had to like lead up an entire rebellion of ghouls against the society, and then
mm.
an entire war erupting, and that whole conflict and climax and descending peak. um
Wait.
no, probably not.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. You're throwing back my own definition at me, but fair enough. We're trying to clarify things here. Anyway.
So far, the only two boys on this list really don't count.
Okay.
but there's still hope. There's still
There's
hope.
still hope. We have one more male character, but I'm not gonna get to that at that point. Okay. Kotomi from Clannad.
I don't know what a
I
Clannad
have
is.
I have concerns about Kotomi because technically she's more of a, I don't know where to classify her. Okay, so um
Okay, well, first of all, let me just open up a new web page on this Kotomi person.
okay, so Kotomi as I okay, let me start with Clannad
That's
is
not okay. I type in Kotomi Clannad and like the search results adding onto it. Mm-mm. So that is a very rude thing to call someone.
Okay, so Clannad is a anime that is based off of a dating sim game. So obviously you're gonna have the main characters, the guy, and then all the love interests are the other characters and stuff. Kotomi being one of them. And
Apparently she's 5'3". Very interesting.
Kotomi is a character who is introduced as this super like brilliant character and such, but still needs to
A
attend school
genius
for the
girl who's
hours.
almost always seen in the library reading books or cutting up pages of printed media.
Yeah.
Okay.
And such like that. So at first, when you first meet her, she kind of acts like a kudere and such, but the more interactions that you have with her, she is very socially incapable. She doesn't know how to go about doing things like, like you
She
shouldn't.
drives a car?
What?
Or no? It's hard to tell, like, in this image I'm looking at, because, like, first of all, I'm assuming this is the same Kotomi. Um, I- Ichinos from Clannad. You see her, like, riding around in a car. I don't know if she's a passenger or if she's the driver in this one.
No, she
So, if
doesn't.
she's the driver, wow, amazing.
But okay, so Kotomi, she's not really aware of social cues per se. Like, what is it? She has trouble introducing herself almost all the time to people and stuff like that, which is a very
People
key
are
detail for in Japan when you're trying to be social. You're trying your best to um be able to introduce yourself properly and such like that.
some people speculate that she may be a bit on the spectrum.
Yeah, because of again the inability to be
Ineptitude,
yeah.
not being able to pick up on those social cues you're talking about.
And
Joke's on
other
you. I'm like that all the time. It's not until after the fact where I think to myself, wait, were they dropping hints?
now the question is she shy? No. In my
In some of
opinion,
the images
she's
I'm
not.
looking at, she does look shy.
But kind of it just really depends on the context of the dating sim episode and such like that.
I would figure. Okay.
And everything, but like at least if we're gonna stay in the realm of anime and stuff like that, not really.
Oh, would you look at that? It looks like she kind of knew the main lead when they were small children.
Yes.
Okay. Childhood
By
friends to
some
some extent.
miracle, even though technically the main character didn't remember anything of that.
That is a common trope we need to talk about. The main character making a promise with someone and then
And
just
then
forgets all
forgetting
about
about
that
it.
promise until, like, the person like comes back and they're like, I held on to our promise all this time, and they're like, what promise are you referring to?
I've
Anyways, if
never
you need
met
me, I'm
you.
gonna go fall in love with this other person. I'm just like, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So I feel like Katomi's technically not, but I think that just really is on the anime side of things because the anime did have a bias towards who was gonna be endgame.
Fair enough. So you feel like she didn't really get a good shot in the anime
Mm-mm.
or in the manga,
No.
but for sure maybe in the game, depending on the route you specifically went after.
Yes.
I see, I see. So, if we take the most lenient approach and try to classify her in some way, shape, or form, including the game, would you say that? Sure, but only in the game.
Yes.
Okay, interesting. But not in the anime.
Mm-mm.
So then, would you. Okay, do you think it would be a point of contention to argue whether or not someone is or isn't a Dere based on where they originate from? The game or the mainstream anime media?
That's a fair point because we've been talking about the characters interchangeably on their mediums that they come from. Because in
We
a
were doing it for
sense,
sure with Hinata.
because technically in a sense they were, because I think it's different for Clannad, or any anime similar to Clannad because of the fact that
Right.
the material that they're based off of is very open ended.
All right.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
It's very.
cause like
It's
versus
up to
Naruto,
you.
yeah, very unlike My Hero and Naruto and such like that, the there is a end game that is in mind that they of the intended story. It's not like trying to. It's not like
Unfortunately, the Avengers are never always involved.
it's not like the what is it
They.
storyline of Persona to the Persona anime, if that makes sense.
I had no idea if there's like even like a concrete plot between all the Persona series interconnecting each other.
No. Okay, so for example, Persona 5 has an animation and then there's the game and such like that. And the way you go about it is entirely up to you because you can optimize your character, you can optimize
Min max strat. Let's go.
you can optimize everything to your liking and such like that. In fact, but versus the anime, one of the key details that kind of go around a little bit is that um, characters do act similarly to the game, but not 100% to all the interactions that you have with them, because
Okay,
the anime doesn't go further into the confidant storylines where you spend time with said characters to level up their friendship levels. In
sure.
fact, there are some side plots that may get overlooked because you are
Would you
time
consider those
committing.
plot points to be important?
Sometimes,
Sometimes.
like for example, there's a plot point in Persona 5 where gameplay wise it's very effective, but like
Romance.
no. So
Aw.
for example, there's a confidant who is your teacher,
Teacher?
who is a maid by night.
Not the dirty kind,
And
right? Wait, right?
when you call her, no.
When you call her up, no.
But in other calls, I don't know the
Afterwards,
context. I don't know the context after that. But like, so
no, for the most part, yeah. Like as far as I was like aware of, she's like a literal like a maid who dresses up, goes to like like their client's house, cleans around like a maid, put on like a performance, and then they just kind of like up and leave.
yeah.
Now
But
that
like,
whole gig is kind of like somewhat thrown out the window with you kind of finding out a certain secret about your teacher
mhm.
in the fact that she has not only a part-time job, but she's also dressing up as a maid, which I'm assuming in Japan's work society, probably not something that you like, look up to someone for.
Especially because it's one of those like at call services.
Yeah, so that kind of like brings about a lot of
Yeah,
implications.
but okay, so gameplay wise, like in the actual game, it's beneficial to upgrade this confidant relationship that you have with the teacher, because she actually allows you to skip classes sometimes because you've buddied up with her so much and everything, and this allows you more time to level up um your like social skills and everything, or even just going to use that time to prepare for the next palace raid to buy items and such, because some shops at the certain times of day will sell items that aren't available for you if you went after school.
Back to the plot. Back to the plot.
But then
Game, anime.
but then to the anime, we never go into that point. So I think for Clannad, because we never go further into those details, because I feel like whoever directed the anime has a intense bias towards the
They just
actual.
speed ran.
Yeah.
They just speed ran it. Okay,
Yeah.
but do you think the source of the anime originating either as a manga, as an anime original, as a light novel, or even as a game, do you think that should maybe factor into whether or not we can consider someone a dandere?
I I think it could, because of the fact that if given the time we can do so, versus like what we said with Midoriya and Ken Kaneki, is because we didn't have any other option to spend more
Right.
time with them as a Dandere, versus Kotomi has the option to. Just in the anime, that was not the option.
I see. Okay. All right. Well, then moving on to this Lego She
My
person.
favorite character in the most recent years of anime. I love Legoshi.
I wonder why.
It's not because
Is there
I'm a
something you want to
furry.
say?
It's not because I'm just a furry.
Are you sure? I feel like you're projecting here. I
No.
feel like there's something here you want to say.
No, I actually do like Legoshi as a character outside from the wolf and furry situation, because Legoshi as a character involves a little bit of a deeper thought to how he is as a character in his situation.
Beyond thoughts.
So okay.
Go on.
So the world of Beastars is, like I said, it's a world where every character is a animal, like a humanoid animal. However, there's a
Think
little bit
Zootopia.
But there's the one difference between Zootopia. It's a lot more predator prey adult context because it revolves a little bit deeper about the relationship of how society is, because there has been a murder in at the beginning of the anime that people are discussing about a predator killing a prey student.
Mm.
And I think it's a little bit interesting because Legoshi as a character who is this like tall, strong wolf character is just kind of a hermit, if that makes sense.
They tend to keep to themselves.
He kind of does. Like he has his friends, his roommates, the other dog like animals who are his dorm mates and such like that. But
Mm-hmm.
socially, when it comes to the prey and everything, he's not really sure how to go about them. Like he knows that it should be socially okay to talk to them, but he doesn't want to come off as like scary or the like, because one, he's a very tall character, and he's
Right.
also, a wolf with big teeth and sharp fangs and such like that.
Why are your eyes so big? Why is your nose so big?
Why are
What
you
big hands you have?
and everything kind of thing. And it comes a little bit more into fruition once he meets Haru, who is the love interest but is also a rabbit, who is
Weird.
in who is like the size, it goes up to his like knee in height.
I'm getting some really bad vibes from this.
It's just nothing. There's nothing sexual, I swear. Yet.
Mm-hmm. Uh-huh.
and and the thing is that Legacy as a character, he I love him as a character because he's the definition of a Dandere. Not to say that he's not socially capable. He is socially capable, but he goes on the opposite end of not being able to socialize to the he overcorrects everything socially.
Okay.
So, for example, when it comes to Haru and stuff like that and everything, the first thing, the first interaction that he has with her in her undressing,
Mm.
is not to
Sus.
say is not to a go along with it because horny teenager, or b tell her to say like, hey, don't, um I'm not interested, like very politely and everything. No, his response is to say, hey, I have somewhere to go, okay, bye, runs.
To be honest, if a rabbit asked me the same thing, I probably would just flee the scene.
But like, I love that because you would not expect that from a big wolf.
Okay. So you say like for sure, 100%, this
Yes.
dude is a Dandere.
Yes, because the entire time in the anime, while it talks a lot more about darker topics and everything, he does everything that he does is for his love for Haru and quote unquote protecting her in a sense, even though socially he could just tell her like, hey, I like you and I don't want to hurt you, kind of thing. But he hasn't.
Okay.
He hasn't said it this entire
But he
time.
hasn't. Okay.
Okay, but this is the
Poor
character.
homeboy over here.
But this next character that we have on the list, I feel like you want to talk about a lot, which is,
I have nothing to say to you about this person.
what do you mean? You're the one that added this person on the list.
Joke's on you. I've already forgotten the reason why I put her on this list.
So Sumi from Rent a Girlfriend. What? Didn't we say the rule was that there had to be 11 chests involved?
Yes. And you were bringing up like an entire like 20-minute long like open like elevator
I
speech
am
as to
trying to
why
set
they
you up.
should.
I'm trying to set you up so that you could sound intellectual on this podcast, okay? You want me to say it? I'll say it. Self love is a
Unfortunately, I have
valid
the
type of love.
I have the big dumb. I cannot, understand deeper levels of characterization and like the more unsaid topics and discussions. I can only understand like surface level concepts like love, romance, acceptance of
You think
oneself.
love is a surface level concept? No, it isn't. You do realize there are people struggling out there with understanding how to say I love you to someone.
I'm one of them. You just like me, for real, for real. Okay, but yes, Sumi. So I went ahead and put her on here mainly because I thought she kind of fit in well. Extremely shy, timid, doesn't really speak all too often, and I mean, I feel like it's definitely more of a Comey situation in that sense. Not the whole cool part, but the whole antisocial, finds it very difficult to speak.
Mhm.
And I mean, like she really writes or like texts. Every now and then she will speak, but softly, so soft. Um, and I mean the whole. Actually, yeah. Hold on a second. It says here that she even speaks sign language.
But okay. But isn't the whole point of a rent girlfriend is to be sociable because you are a rented girlfriend and everything?
Yes,
It's
and
in
that
the
is
title.
something that is something she falls short of. And I feel like I'm pretty sure it was explained that was one of the main reasons why she even took this job to begin with, is to force herself to be a little more outgoing, a little bit more of an extrovert, to like try and put herself out there and not be like this shy, reserved person
Mm.
who's like very awkward. Um, and she wants to improve. That's something that's very apparent, and that is something like she actively tries to work towards.
Mhm.
So she's like trying her best to put on this lovey-dovey act with her clients and be like well, like in love with them. So I feel like you know, the intent is there, if not in earnest, then like out of a necessity or like more of like she's doing it for her character growth.
Okay.
I feel like that might be a good reason to put her in this list.
And then I feel like with the lovey-dovey part, there's it goes in twofold for at least this character. One is the surface level; it's her job to be all lovey-dovey and stuff like that. But I think um the underlayer of it for the lovey-dovey is towards herself, because like you
Right.
said, she does it for herself, as a way to grow as a social person. But at the same
Hmm.
time, I think that's also like one of the concepts that people tell to shy people is to get out there a little bit more and everything
Doesn't
and
really help.
develop the skills and such like that. And while yes, it doesn't really work for everyone and stuff like that, baby steps everyone, baby steps. But
Trial by fire or nothing. Let's go.
but like it's a form of self-love because she's putting the effort to do it.
Yeah, and
And
that's not something I really picked up on.
cuz again, she lives by herself. She doesn't have someone force her to the job. She could quit any day that she wants to and stuff. But she chooses to go for herself. And I think that's quite commendable for someone who is like that.
The first word that popped in my mind was commendable. It it's too. I feel like using it's just way too simple here. It's Yeah, well, it's something I guess for her to be proud of, to take pride in the
Mhm.
fact that she's like really trying her best.
Mhm. Like sure, the company I read the spin-off manga, so that's my
Ooh,
context
all right.
and everything. And even in the spin-off manga, the company that she works for is telling her, "Hey, we're getting complaints on your customers and stuff. Like not too bad on the rating like you're not doing well. They like you and everything, but the main complaint they commonly say is that you don't talk a lot." And
Very understandable.
yeah, and everything. And I think that's also something that she acknowledges like, yeah, that's my fault. I'll work on it and stuff. It's not like, well, that's the character I am and everything and stuff like that. You asked, it's like you hired me. You should have seen this coming and stuff like that. No. She takes it to heart and says, "Yes, I shall work on this and everything." She's trying really hard because I believe on the second chapter of that spinoff, she works hard to try to at least for her next client talk more and everything. like try to be more um upfront, but
Right.
baby steps, Sumi, baby steps.
One
Anyway,
small step at a time.
so uh on that front, I think she does qualify for a Dandere because it kind of calls for it in the type of anime that she's in, because it's supposed to be kind of like a reverse harem situation. No, I
Yep.
mean, not reverse harem, a harem. Reverse harem as if she was a dude. Um,
She is the dude.
but on but on the second part is that self love is also a valid form of love as well.
Yep.
All right, next one. I know nothing about, but you do. Miku Nakano from Quintessential Quintuplets. Can you tell me about that?
Yeah, so let me just look up like, oh no. The overall plot is main character dude, really good at studying, best grades in the entire like school. He gets scouted by the principals like, "Hey, so like we got like a like we have a parent here who really like needs to like up their kids like, scores because they ain't doing so well. So
Mm-hmm.
we've decided to hire you like, to be the tutor." And it's like, "All right, well, I guess I can try." And he goes and shenanigans ensue and he's trying to help these quintuplets get better in their studies. One of the sisters, honestly best girl, is Miku, and she's
Hatsune
the
Miku?
yes, they all have red hair. Miku over here was the only one born with the blue hair and just went on to become an idol. 100%.
Senta.
But yeah,
Anyway, going on.
she's the like out of the quintuplets. Whenever you look at like them compared side by side, all trying to look distinct and different from one another, she's the one with the headphones around her neck.
Mm-hmm.
So so they all have their own like, I feel like they can each be categorized in their own Dere types. But if that is true, I feel like she could definitely count as a Dandere because she is the shy one. She is she tends to keep to herself. She doesn't really like in her case she actually does have like a small group of friends.
Mm-hmm.
She has her like, she has her habits of just being really really interested in like, well, like these leaders, these warlords back in like Japan's like warring periods, Romance of the Three Kingdoms, I want to say. um that I feel like that's a very common trope for whatever reason. People are like, "Oh, have you read Romance of the Three Kingdoms? It's so amazing because of this and that." I'm basing my whole entire character personality off of this one specific character, and I'm like, "What are you talking about? I haven't read this."
And
Oh no. But yeah, so she like so does she has like a very nerdy interest in this specific thing.
mm-hmm.
And I mean, I
Very
the only thing
introverted nature, I will say. It's
as
because
a result, the only thing she's good at is history for for reasons.
obvious
But
reasons.
yeah. And she's actually one of the best out of all the five sisters, like to start with in series, because her grades aren't the worst, but for sure there is definitely many different places she can kind of like improve upon.
Okay,
And
what grade?
obviously,
What grades? What subject is she needing the help the most though? Math?
that is a great question.
Is she
I
struggling in math?
forget.
That's not the Asian way. I'm kidding.
But yeah, I mean, like she eventually. I feel like she's actually one of the first ones to fall in love with the main character. So it's sad to see that
Hmm.
maybe like she isn't like the best candidate to go for. Honestly, the whole time I thought Itsuki would be the main one because the unspoken rule in romance anime is the first person you meet on screen, that is the main love interest. Like that they're gonna end up with at the very end, even if the main character themselves says, "No, I have liked this other person for this long," or this specific reason why it has to be this person.
First
Yeah,
girl,
no,
worst girl. That's a topic that Crow brought up in our previous
that is,
episode of
yeah.
dating sims. You can watch that here.
Nisekoi is like one of my like like the biggest things I'm so upset with. He has this one girl he's been pining for the longest time. This main chick shows up, first one on the screen. Therefore, she is like the one he ends up with at the very end. I'm like, what? No. Why? Everything even aligned. The girl confessed. He was like, yeah, I love you too. But now that I've spent like the better half of 6 months living with this one other chick, I kind of get the feeling I'm in love with her now. Even though she's been mean to me, she's been aggressive, she's been a straight up like tsundere to me. I kind of get the feeling that I just want to be like with her, and I'm like, are you for real, my dude? But yeah, beyond that, Miku, first one, best one. And even when she realizes she's in love with them and she's trying to make an effort. I mean, she goes from like this Dandere type of character and to be a little bit more confident, a little bit more outgoing, taking a more of a slightly aggressive approach because her other sister Nino is like once she realizes she's in love with this guy, she immediately goes full on like aggressive in her romantic advances. Like she's telling him straight up, "I like you, I love you, I want to be with you. Now we can do this the easy way, or we can do this the hard way." And the
Oh
guy's like,
no.
"Okay, well I'm trying to be your tutor." Like, "Oh, okay, I see how it is. You want to do this the hard way."
Oh no.
But yeah, Miku, like, she's trying. She's doing her best to just play fair. Nino's taking like the aggressive path. Her other sister, well, which one was it? The oldest, I want to say. Not Yotsuba, not Ichika. Ichika is like this actress who, like, for a high schooler, she's like an actress. She's like already the best. She's lied. She's cheated her way to get close to the main character. And I mean, thankfully, she doesn't end up with him because of like all these
I
like
don't see that as a positive trait to look in a waifu, but I guess some people are into that question mark.
uh yeah. I mean, like what she does, I feel like are steps below being a yandere. Besides actually being aggressive, stalkerish, and like just straight up hurting someone.
Mm-hmm.
She's never gone that far. But I mean, she's definitely like put on wigs and disguised herself as like one of the other girls and said, don't like you as much, or you should totally go with my other sister, like over here, Ichika. She's the best girl out of all of us. And then well, uh,
Mm.
lying, cheating a little. Miku straight up does her best, and I mean, yeah, I mean, like,
Commendable.
commendable. She is the most redeemable out of everyone here. Um,
she just
outside of
she's just
Yotsuba,
trying her.
tries her best, and then because of plot reasons, she's like even more the best. So I can't be too angry as to like why like out of all the five sisters, you know, why some of them weren't even like nowhere near like the end. In terms of like speculating who it could be, and why others definitely were like on that top list. But I'm sad it wasn't Miku.
Yeah, no, I, I,
But
I,
yeah,
I feel like there's a little bit of bias though toward for you towards Miku. I'm just asking.
shy, nerdy.
I thought your
She
type.
has
I thought
headphones.
your type was kudere.
Yeah, on top of her being shy, like she does not speak a lot, and she definitely carries that kudere trait around her. But
After you meet her.
it's less of a Comey like the opposite of a Comey situation. I want to say
Okay.
that's mainly what it is. But yeah, for sure, Miku, I can definitely just try and like make a point to try and have her be categorized as a kudere, but I feel like for the rest of the series, she quickly
She's
like
very
is becomes
dandere.
more of a dandere. So I'd say she better fits into this. But if we're taking leniences and allowing certain characters to be categorized in one or two, there's definitely a point to like make her be one of those characters where like she fits in both.
Yeah.
I've
So
yet to
so
say
so.
like a yandere, tsundere, or a dandere like dere dere.
Mhm.
Those are interesting combinations.
Yeah, cause like after this revelation, we only have like two types left, but we've seen like a pattern over and over again. Is that some characters don't just categorize into one thing because it's very similar to like any personality type that you would see yourself as and everything like the what is it the ENFJ quiz or something like that. Not
No idea.
everyone falls into just one exact category and calls it a day for the rest of their life. Your
There's a reason why we
personality,
have multiple personality tests.
yeah, your personality comes and goes with your emotions, with your life experiences that you may have slash have gained to the next point of your life and everything. And very
Yeah.
similar to the characters that we speak of today and every character we've spoken to, it's just taken at a
We've
point of
spoken to
time.
them?
Spoken of
Okay. I was like, I don't remember interviewing anyone.
spoken of
Hatsumi
we
Miku, are you aware you are a fictional character?
but the points are that the characters will change as they go. Because, like you said at the beginning of this, a Dandere also qualifies as a character who turns into a Dere type like character.
Right. So yeah, not only is it like more of an initial thing, but it's also more of a time dependent thing as well.
As the story develops and such. So
Yep.
I feel like we've come to a conclusion of a good list of characters that describe
How
a Dandere.
long?
so
How long?
so yeah, but I think that's a good way to end it. Do you have anything to say before we go, Raptor?
At the time of this recording, it had not been 10. It is currently 11. How far are we over the limit?
A half hour.
Oh my goodness.
Anyway, so you all have a wonderful night, and I'll see you next time on Otaku Nightly Hour.
See ya.
Goodbye.